Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cricket Unfiltered. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined one of the stars of Australian cricket, gun all-rounder from the West, Cameron Green. Cameron, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what are you up to in the off-season?
We're in the pre-season now. But yeah, in the off-season, just try to relax as much as I could. I think everyone had a pretty exhausting summer, so any time at home is so valuable.
Yeah, excellent. And do you have any hobbies away from cricket?
No, not too many. Most of our time is spent just training, really. But yeah, I just love being back in Perth, spending time with friends and family. And yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had the best weather over in Perth, but I'm sure it'll clear up soon.
And have you sort of cast your mind ahead to the Ashes series and, what that could be like to play in a home Ashes?
Yeah, of course. I'll be lying if I say I haven't thought about it. Doing a bit of research in a way, watching the series England's playing at the moment.
Yep.
But yeah, to be honest, I think you can get into a bit of a trap if you look too far ahead. So yeah, the first few rounds of the One Day Cup and the Shield are going to be so important. So yeah, not trying to look too far ahead.
Yeah, excellent. And I guess last summer you were sort of restricted a little bit with your bowling. How are you going with that at the moment?
Yeah, going really well. Working pretty hard with Matt Mason. Yeah, he's been here for a year or 2 years now. And you can just tell how good he is. So he has so much enthusiasm, so much energy towards bowling and teaching guys how to get better. So he's been awesome and yeah, tracking along pretty well at the moment.
Yeah, do you think potentially next season those sort of limits that were placed on you last summer might be a little bit more relaxed?
Yeah, definitely. That's the plan. I think I hadn't got through a season of cricket for the 4 years I've been as a professional. So just to get through 1 year is a massive bonus for me. So yeah, this year will just be another stepping stone, just bowling more overs more consistently. I'm not sure if that's with restrictions or not, but yeah, hopefully not by the end of the year.
Excellent. And I just want to sort of go back now, Cam, and find out where it all began for tall Cameron. When did you start playing cricket? I know you love your footy in the West. Were you tempted by a bit of AFL, or when did cricket, grab you?
Yeah, definitely. I was just like any young kid growing up in Perth, really. We love our AFL, love our cricket. So every winter you're playing football and you get so excited when footy season comes around. And then by the end of that, when summer starts coming around, you get so excited to play cricket. So yeah, my energy wasn't put anywhere. It was, yeah, pretty even with both. So I think I got offered a contract when I was 16 and started playing when I was 17. So yeah, that all happened before I could have gone into an AFL draft.
Yeah, right. And was there like a performance as a young cricketer where you started to tweak to the fact that you're, a little bit better than the players you were around?
Not really. I think growing up, we had a lot of great players in WA. I think I versed Aaron Hardy since I was 11 years old, played with an ex-WA cricketer in Matt Spores since I was 11. And then we've had Brad Hope, who was another gun growing up as well. So I was never too far ahead of those guys. They were always great competition growing up, and yeah, we push each other to get better.
And from a coaching point of view, anyone sort of take you under their wing or particularly mentor you?
My dad was a massive influence on me. Yeah, we used to train pretty hard at a pretty young age, to be fair, and that's obviously held me in really good stead to where I am now. But yeah, I've had a couple of great coaches growing up. I had Ken Milley back in WA with bowling coach, and then Mike Hirsch as well was definitely a guy that helped along the way.
Yeah, and did your dad play cricket?
Yeah. He unfortunately never played first grade in WA. He just, a bit of a struggler in second grade, to be fair. Hopped around to a few clubs. He likes to tell me he was pretty good, but yeah, he loved his cricket. And yeah, the passion he shows, I can obviously see it.
Yeah, and what about sort of your memories of cricket growing up, watching cricket and being a fan. Were there any players that you really looked up to? Any, moments that you remember that really you loved watching?
Yeah, just like I was saying before, just as a young kid in WA, around that time, you were looking up to the guys like Ricky Ponting. He was in the squad at the time. I think I had a white painted over Kookaburra Kahuna, just like him. I'm sure every other kid used to have it as well. And then I think I just wanted to play cricket all the time, just wanted to be doing something. So just try to bowl as quick as I could. And at the time, Brett Lee was probably the quickest. So he was definitely someone I think everyone watched.
Yeah, and have you had a chance to have a chat with Ricky or Brett?
Fortunately, not yet. I'm pretty sure Ricky's a pretty massive influence on the Australian cricket team, so I'm sure he would have loved to be around our team this year. But unfortunately, with the restrictions, unfortunately, weren't able to have that access. But I'm sure I'll get to meet him in the future.
Yeah, you do. I know your technique. It's similar to Ricky's in the way you play early on, nice and straight, down the ground, full face of the bat.
Sorry, what was that?
I mean, you play a bit like Ricky early on in your innings, full face of the bat, straight down to the ground, hit straight down the ground. You sort of see that influence, but you're about twice his height.
Yeah, definitely got a bit of a difference in the way we set up, really. But I think he definitely had that massive stride, something that all of us used to speak about when we were younger. He was definitely a guy that used to try and press forward as much as he could, and that's probably something I'm trying to emulate. So, yeah, it's a pretty good guy to watch.
Yeah, when you press forward, you're like halfway down the pitch. So I heard you say after last summer that you hadn't really spent a lot of time away from home or away from Perth and, thrown into the bubble or traveling around the country, pretty shut off. How was that sort of learning curve for you, not a cricketer and as a person?
Yeah, definitely had its challenges. I think I was actually trying to look back at how much time I've actually spent away from home, actually in a block. And I think the longest I've done was probably the under-19s for a cricket trip. So you go away for 2 weeks. I think for WA, you go away for a week for a Shield game, maybe have a one-dayer attached on the back of it. But yeah, you're probably home in a week and a half. So I haven't really spent that time away from home. I got a bit of exposure with the NPS up in Queensland. So a couple of years ago, I spent 4 months up there. So that definitely helped. But yeah, hadn't really spent that long away. So it definitely had its challenges.
And did you sort of make some good friends within the Australian team? Maybe guys you hadn't known that very well before.
Yeah, that was another challenge as well. I think before Will Bukowski joined the group, I think the next youngest was Marnus Labuschagne at 26 or 27. So there was definitely a bit of an age gap. And there was no other WA guys either in the test squad. So that had its challenges as well. There wasn't really a guy that I could pretty easily hang out with. So, but all the guys were awesome, so welcoming, so caring. So yeah, I couldn't ask much more of them.
Yeah, and have you played? You said you haven't sort of traveled much. So have you played much cricket outside Australia at all?
Yeah, with the NPS again, we went up to India. I've been there 2 or 3 times now. Got a pretty good exposure. You can't really ask for much more, really. Probably the most difficult pitches that you're ever going to play on, and probably the furthest away from the conditions that we face in Australia. So that had its challenges, but hopefully, yeah, some really good learning curves going forward.
You might need that experience with Australia set to tour Asia 3 times next year. How do you go against the spinners?
Yeah, in Australia, there's definitely a different way that you go about it. I think obviously it's not too much turn really, especially in WA. So you can kind of plant your foot and just block it if you're not in a great position. But that's definitely not the case when you go potentially over east to Sydney, or if you go to the subcontinent. So that's definitely a learning that I've got to start to really work on. yeah, you can't get out of jail really with a planted front foot and defence down the ground. You've got to really try really hard to get forward and back. So that's something I've definitely got to work on.
Are you a sweeper?
I'm pretty tall, so it's a little bit hard to. But yeah, that's something I've been working on this pre-season. So yeah, there's always things to work on. So that's why I'm so excited to have a full pre-season in Perth.
Yeah, Matty Hayden worked on his sweep shot ahead of that famous 2004 Indian tour. And I mean, you could plant your foot down there and just sweep it easily. So I commentate on the Shield, and you came to the SCG a couple of years ago, and I had the stats here. You're at 20 years old. You were the 6th youngest to score a ton and take 5 wickets in a Shield match. So phenomenal all-round achievement. And on that list, you got Bob Simpson, Doug Walters, Mitch Marsh, Ron Archer, Stan McCabe, then Cam Green. Now, Mitch Marsh is obviously around a lot over in the West, and you would have spent a lot of time with him. I've also interviewed Shane Watson, and it's really difficult being an all-rounder. What has Mitch sort of passed on to you?
Yeah, it's more the off-field stuff, really. He's obviously copped it a little bit in the media throughout his whole Test career. So that's definitely something that I'm wanting to work on with him. I think regardless of how good you are, you're gonna receive something in the media or the comments even. So it's more probably the off-field stuff with Mitch. But then on-field, you can see how good of a leader he is, how hard he works on his skills off-field. That obviously translates to on-field. And he seems really resilient. I don't think you really see Mitch Marsh get injured too much. I think he's played, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's played maybe 100 first-class matches with WA, Australia, or in county cricket. So he's got a wealth of experience. So whenever he's back in Perth, you try and grab as much as you can from him. Yeah.
Have you ever spoken to Shane Watson?
No, unfortunately, he's another guy that I'm sure will be around the setup in the future. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that a lot of guys looked up to, and yeah, his record would speak for itself.
Yeah, I'd recommend. He's got a podcast called Lessons Learnt with the Greats. I don't know if you listen to podcasts, but he's interviewed. Actually, Mark Hussey interviews him, and he talks about being an all-rounder, and then actually Watto goes and interviews all the other stars around the world. And if you're a cricket geek, I reckon it's a good one because it gets all technical. And one thing that came out from that with Shane speaking about his career is he felt that you got to be able to switch on and off with the bat and the ball, especially when you're an all-rounder and so much is expected of you, that you've just got to be able to switch on and off to preserve your energy. Can you see where he's coming from?
Yeah, 100%. Especially if you're as good as an all-rounder as he was, you're probably batting all day, and then or the next day you had to lob up and bowl 15 or 20 overs. So I can definitely see where he's coming from. I think you probably get so exhausted mentally because you are switched on, like you said, the whole game. So when I had a couple of periods when I was just a batter back in club cricket, it was really nice that you definitely had a day where you could switch off and get ready and really think about what you're going to do with the bat. But unfortunately, that's not the case with us. I think it's a good and a bad thing that you have to be switched on every day. So you're always in the game. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge that we face.
Yeah, it's very, very challenging when you got both. It's so hard to excel at both. You mentioned the media. What's your approach to the media? Do you read articles? Smudge reads everything. Maybe not so much lately, but he reads everything. Some ignore it. Do you go on social media? What's your plan?
Well, yeah, I haven't been exposed to it too much, really. It's only been the first year I've really experienced it, really. The approach I'm taking at the moment is try not to read anything. But of course, the article headlines are always going to catch your eye every so often. So you just try your best to avoid it as much as you can.
And are you on social media, or do you stay off it?
I am, but I try and use it as little as I can. But yeah, I think we're growing up in this age where it's pretty hard to avoid it. and there's also some good opportunities if you use it well. So yeah, it's a bit of a fine balance that you got to work out.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the Shield game I commentated where you played, it was at the SCG a couple of years ago, and I think Hazelwood and Cummins rock and rolled you in both innings. And, you know, what was it like coming up against them? Because they are just so good.
Yeah, I think at the time I was probably, so what you're referring to is leaving 2 balls on off stump, really. Yeah, there was definitely a time where you're watching these guys run into bowl, and you're kind of starstruck and you're not really worried about what you're doing. You're more focused on, geez, I'm versing Paddy Cummins or Josh Hazelwood, who's been around the test setup for, 5 years or longer, to be fair. So, yeah, I definitely got starstruck, got caught out a couple of times, but at the same time, I got a lot of good learnings out of it. So next time I'm in that situation, hopefully I cope with it better.
Yeah, definitely. Now, there's what's called the fast bowlers cartel in the Australian cricket team. And Mike Casper had said recently he coined that phrase. So we need to credit Casper every time we use it. Apparently, he was reading a book about South American drug cartels. So tell me, are you in the fast bowling cartel? Have they let you in yet?
I'm actually not too sure. I think the fast bowling cartel, when you walk out onto the field, you do like a little fist bump and say, good luck, mate. Because obviously it's our role to take the wickets, take 10 wickets, for obviously as little runs as we can. So at the start when we walk on, we pat each other on the back and say good luck, have a good session. But yeah, I haven't got a wicket yet, so I'm not too sure if I can add myself to the cartel yet.
You in this WhatsApp group for the fast bowling cartel though? That's the key.
Nah, unfortunately not yet. That's all right. Hopefully in the future.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of next summer we'll get you in there. Do you look at someone like Pat Cummins, who at your age had a lot of injury troubles, was spent a lot of time on the sideline, but now he's a machine, can play so much cricket, obviously, takes wickets for fun. Do you sort of, from your bowling point of view, think that this is going to be a tough time, but eventually there's something on the horizon?
Yeah, he's definitely a great example of that. I know Matt Mason definitely points towards whenever he can. I think it's definitely a long road to getting your body right, to bowl 35, 40 overs a game potentially. So as a young 20-year-old, you're probably not expected to do that, and your body's definitely not in a place to do that. But yeah, Paddy's a great example of someone who's been through a lot of setbacks, but obviously can become the best in the world. So I take a lot of confidence out of his journey, I guess.
Yeah, what a player. Do you sort of have not a preference, but sort of growing up, were you sort of, I mean, everyone loves hitting balls, but where do you see yourself, in the top order or down the order as an all-rounder?
Yeah, it's a tough spot. If you're about too high, I think you come off the ground pretty cooked some days. So it's a tough ask to go, first or second drop, but you try your best whenever you can, because they're sometimes the best places to bat. So at the moment for WA, I bat number 4, but that's with a lot of guys out the team. So I'm happy to start anywhere, really. I'm sure I can do a job hopefully anywhere.
Yeah, you really construct your innings in a classical sense. Where did that come from? You build your innings.
Yeah, I think growing up in WA, you got a lot of opportunity to bat time. I think definitely in junior cricket, you get 50 overs to bat. More often than not, you're the best player in the team, so you're expected to bat time. Just get a lot of good opportunities as a kid to kind of work on that. It's more the white ball practice that you don't get too much of. So that's definitely a skill you got to work on when you come to the professional environment. But had plenty of time to practice batting a long time.
I guess you were particularly happy then with your Marsh Cup performances at the back end of last summer in the 50 over comp. I know at least one big 100. That must have been really rewarding.
Definitely. Just gives you confidence that you can do it. and then potentially a little platform that you can look back on in the future and be like, okay, I batted pretty well then, and how can I replicate it? So yeah, it just gave me a lot of confidence, really.
Yeah, because I haven't seen you playing a lot of T20 cricket, but I can imagine like big hitter, bowls quick. I mean, you must see yourself as a 3 format player eventually.
Yeah, it's definitely something you can strive towards. At the moment, I'm pretty heavily focused on red ball cricket, but I'm trying to work as hard as I can whenever I can on the white ball. So yeah, I probably see myself at the moment as potentially a guy who could do a job at the back end of the innings, but at the same time, you've got to get exposure and experience to that. But yeah, hopefully in the future, I can get exposed to that a little bit more, as well as the other guys who try and be a finisher. So a lot of guys say it's the hardest job in the world, so might take a while, but I'm sure there's a lot of things I can work on.
Greg Chappell said on this podcast recently that he feels that it's really challenging for young players now to develop because you've got so many formats of the game. Do you feel it's a benefit for you just in the last year or two you've been able to really sort of focus on the red ball stuff?
I think definitely, yeah. You can see a lot of guys these days that try and heavily focus their energy onto one aspect of the game. It's a tough game if you're trying to do all three. So obviously the best in the world can do it. Dave Vaughan is obviously a guy that bats pretty similar, but then a lot of guys don't really get the luxury to do that, to bat at the top of the order and smack him. So
Field up.
He's different gravy. Obviously, he's one of the best in the world. So yeah, for a lot of our guys like myself, you got to work pretty hard to get good at all three. So yeah, at the moment I put my energy into red ball cricket, but definitely working hard in the pre-season on the white ball as well.
Yeah, there is a home T20 World Cup next year. So, I mean, that'd be something for you that'd be great to be involved in if you can get there.
Yeah, and even if I'm not, there's a lot of good opportunity to watch and see what they're doing. And then we always get guys filtering through WA that obviously had a lot of success. So Marcus Stornis has been around the group all pre-season so far, and he's obviously, again, one of the best in the world at what he does, and he can bat at the top and at the bottom. So he's helping a wide range of guys in WA.
How's his rig?
Experience.
How's his rig?
Yeah, obviously really good. The weather's been horrendous in Perth and he's still tanned as anything. So I don't know how he does it, but I hope it's not manufactured somehow.
Shirt comes off at training, I'm imagining, pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, but he's allowed to do it as well. A lot of guys don't really have the luxury to do that. So I'll leave it up to him rather than myself.
What about the coaches over in WA? You know, before Adam Voges, it was Justin Langer. How much of an influence have they had on your development?
Yeah, early doors, I was obviously JL when I first started. And he obviously presses pretty hard with his professionalism, especially off field, and then builds your character on field, really. So if you work hard enough off field, you're in the best place you can on field to perform. Yeah, and he basically showed how professional cricketers should be like, and he was awesome. And then Adam Voges now, he's been a wealth of experience that you can just tap into. He's so engaging in training, helping as much as you can with little things that he obviously found pretty good for him. So yeah, they got a pretty similar way they go about it, but they've both been awesome.
Yeah, I'm imagining Adam's like a little bit more relaxed than JL, having met them both. What's your relationship like, with Tim Payne and the brains trust of the Australian team? You know, you in contact with them a lot?
Not too regularly at the moment, but yeah, Payne was awesome. I think he tried really hard with the younger guys. I think he got on with Will Bukowski really well, and tried his hardest with anyone that joined the group. So yeah, he's awesome with the young guys, and yeah, he gave me so much confidence in what I was doing, and backed me fully. So yeah, he was awesome to play under.
And want to ask you what it was like last summer when you sort of got the test call up, when you were presented the baggy green. You just take us inside that sort of moment. We saw beautiful pictures from the West Indies with Ash tearing up when he gave Wes his cap. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think I had probably a day to digest it. I found out a day earlier that I was debuting. So in a way, luckily I had my girlfriend come over and kind of distract a little bit what was actually going to happen the next day. I think probably the worst thing you can do is just think about it because there's nothing you can do before the game that can affect it. I think you've done all the training you've done in the world, so there's no point going out to the nets and doing more. You just got to tire yourself out. So yeah, probably the hardest thing was the weight, and then yeah, still pinching myself that it happened last summer.
And what was it like when you got to relay the news to your dad and the rest of your family?
Yeah, pretty crazy. It's obviously something that you've strived towards your whole career, trying to grow up. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird feeling that you've actually done it. Yeah, definitely, like I was saying before, it was a pretty surreal moment. Just calling dad and just saying congrats and good luck. That's really all I can really say, really. So yeah, it was nice to have him come over. Unfortunately, my mum couldn't with the restrictions, but yeah, it was good to see my dad there.
Yeah, nice. And do you have a close family?
Yeah, pretty close family. I definitely got a lot of sport lovers. Yeah, my mum was a gymnast and dancer. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. When she was growing up, and obviously dad loved his cricket and footy, and that was passed on from his mum and all his brothers. So yeah, they're all cricket tragics.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got a younger sister. She plays basketball at the moment, and she's heading back to America. It's probably not the best place in the world to be at the moment, but yeah, that'd be a good opportunity for her.
Oh wow! Well, is she tall like you? I'm guessing.
Yeah, thankfully not my size. I think that'd be pretty challenging for a girl, but yeah, definitely got a good size to her. It definitely helps her, her basketball out.
Oh, nice. Let's see, you're in the opals. So what was that step up like from Shield cricket into the Test side? And you know, the Indian bowling attack is one of the best in the world. What was that facing them like?
Yeah, I've said plenty of times that probably domestic cricket in Australia probably prepares you the best, I reckon, for international cricket. We've got 6 teams, all stacked with Australian talent playing every single game. So the best practice you're going to get is at state level, and definitely the best players, I reckon, playing in Australian domestic cricket. So yeah, the step up obviously wasn't as great as it could have been for other countries, but yeah, still a reasonable step up.
Yeah, which of those Indian bowlers did you find sort of the most difficult? Bumrah, Shami, and then
Yeah,
Suraj, or which one?
Paddy Cummins hit Shami in the first game, so didn't have to face too much of
Oh,
him.
that's good. Yeah.
Pretty handy. But Bumrah was obviously a tough challenge. He's a guy that you're not really exposed to, really. You can't get too much practice facing guys like him, so you kind of just got to play an instinct and work your way through it. But I found Siraj pretty hard as well. He's obviously a guy that hits a pretty consistent area, swings in both ways. So yeah, he was a bit of a challenge as well. And obviously, to be fair, you can pick any of their bowlers. They're all world class, and obviously got them into a world championship. So they're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully they'll tail up the Poms. What, you know, it was a crazy series for you to be a part of. Just the way it started, you know. I mean, your head must have been spinning when you bowled India out for 36.
Yeah, pretty crazy when you look back at it now. At the time, it was just a whirlwind. I think you were just taking wicket after wicket, and I obviously wasn't doing anything. I was just watching it at galley, watch it all unfold. So
A couple of good catches.
yeah, helped Paddy get one. But to be fair, I was just watching a masterclass of bowling, and yeah, if anything I can take out of it was just watching how they went about it. So yeah, it was awesome to watch.
And then it sort of swung completely around to, I guess, you walk off the Gabba, you've lost the series. I guess toughest moment in cricket so far?
Yeah, we never like losing. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird feeling. I'd obviously never experienced it before at international level. And you've obviously seen these guys grow up with a lot of success. So yeah, I don't know if you blame yourself at all about how you could have affected it, or there's different ways you can go about it. So yeah, all you can really do is put it behind you and perform well next series.
So did you reflect on your performances at the end of that match and think you wish you'd done more? Is that sort of what you were getting at just then?
Yeah, well, there's always opportunities to do better. You can turn a 30 into a 70 or 100. But really, there wasn't much that you can do, obviously, when the game's done. So there's not too much point reflecting on it too much, and just pick yourself back up and be better next time.
Yeah, and since the season's gone on, there's been some, and I heard you talking about it, about the feedback Justin Langer was given. Personally, I sort of didn't read a lot into the media stories that were put out there. They felt a bit thin to me. But what was your sort of reaction, I guess, when you read those stories?
Yeah, sorry, what stories are you referring to?
Well, when they were saying, Justin Langer got some feedback from the playing group about his coaching style during the summer. What was your reaction when you read that?
Yeah, I actually didn't read them, so I'm not too sure what was involved with them. But obviously, like I said before, I've been around JL and his coaching ever since I've been a professional cricketer. And yeah, he's been awesome to me. So all the guys love him as well, to be fair. When I was in the changing rooms, I think obviously he's a tense guy and just loves winning. He loves coaching Australia and he loves Australia winning. So yeah, if anything, it's just a rubbing off of a lot of passion. So yeah, there wasn't not too much to read into. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're on the same page with that because I met JL a few times and I loved watching him play, but he just brings so much to so passionate. He's so energetic. He seems to push the team to work hard, but um, once you're out there, it's up to you guys to do the performing. I mean, that's just the way it is at top level cricket.
Sorry, what was that?
Well, it's up to you guys to perform. It's got nothing to do. He seems to be doing a good job getting the team prepared to play.
Yeah, he does. Obviously, it's a very tough job for a coach, especially when you're watching your team play. I bet he just wants to get out there and do it for us, to be fair. I've heard coaching is an even more stressful job, a nerve-wracking job than a player. So especially when you can't do much about it. So I'm sure he just would love to be out there and doing it for us, to be fair.
Definitely. Well, Cameron, thanks so much for your time today. It's been great to talk to you. Love watching you play. So I'm looking forward to many more years of watching you at the top level, and best of luck preparing for what's going to be a hectic couple of years of cricket.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
It was great to talk to you. Thank you, Cameron.
Too easy. Thank you.
That was excellent.